when you say America is nothing but a racist, imperialist, exploiter of the weak, it's such a blatant untruth. And you say that so that you can get into power and cause tyranny and anarchy. Then we're talking about the future of my children. We're talking about the future of your children. And one of us has to stand up. I would say, I hope that all of us who know this stand up and say, well, remember, we are actually the only country that fought a war to free slaves. There are many African countries, many African tribes who practiced and profited from slave trade, and other European countries. And there's modern day slavery going on today. But we, America, the only country that actually fought a war, had these debates, had a civil rights movement. Look at where we are. If you want to emphasize the negative and that's all you see, go for it, then let's talk about it and correct it. But to destroy everything that is American, the symbols, the language, the constitution, the institutions, I'd say to them, buzz off. This irrational toppling of statues was going on before the killing of George Floyd. It's been going on for years now. It's not just here in the United States, in the United Kingdom, other countries. The iconoclasm and this impulse to destroy has been with us for a while. What we are seeing now is this mishmash of people who call themselves Black Lives Matter have found the hook. They found a way of going about the business of destroying what we stand for, the ideals, the idea of America, by constantly harping on the things we did wrong, which we all admit, the slavery, the segregation. We are a nation made up of human beings and we are frail, and our human frailties have been well documented in the past. And if you just grab on any one of the most outrageous, of course, the slave trade, and then you say, well, here we now have a reason to destroy everything that America stands for, and this is what these people are saying, then I think it's the time now for most of us to stand up and say, no, here's what we value, here's who we are, also to expose them and say, here's what they are saying, this is who they say they are. And people like Ben and Jerry's, and I'm not talking about the entire company, I'm talking about the two people who went out and took the knee along with a number of our politicians, our media people, our sports elite. I think it's also time to call them out and remind them what it is that they're doing and how they're bringing about them. Appeasement calls for more. That in 244 years, we were able to balance what every human being needs, which is the balance of freedom and order. So that goes away, you get only order, you get the tyrant, and we will get a Chinese version of tyranny and all versions of tyranny. I mean, we've seen and we still see to this day, various forms of tyranny or anarchy. We'll go back to tribalism. And you know what? I do come from a tribal society. I understand the tribal logic. And what I'm seeing right now happening to America, and especially our universities, is an advancement of this tribal logic. And so we have a lot to its decline of civilization.
Growing up in Africa and the Middle East, I had firsthand experience of internecine wars, anarchy, and real racism, close quote.
And so for many Africans, the experience of tyranny, of disorder, of militias, of economic despair, for many of us growing up as Africans, and to this day, there are more Africans who want to come to America and give it a try than want to stay in Africa. And so I have that perspective of saying, we have problems in America. Let's not downplay those problems. But the institutions of freedom, the idea of America, let's get together and figure it out attitude. Please, let's not throw that out.
Right.
In our outrage against some of our problems. I grew up in a household where my brother and my sister and I were beaten routinely. We were beaten. We were hit on the head. We were beaten and beaten. We were beaten by our teachers. We were abused. And I remember thinking, there's one way out of this misery, everyday misery: education. So even though my father left us, and even though my mother beat the crap out of us, I understood that I had to go to school, get that high school diploma. And once I got the opportunity to go to college, I did that. On a personal level, no one is going to lift you out of any kind of misery you are in except you. When you are ready, you decide you want to get out, you can appeal for help. And in America, we have a lot of people and a lot of organizations who will help you if you appeal to them. And it's upon many of us to show the way, here's how to get out of it. The people I'm talking about, right now, Black Lives Matter is in the news, and that this mishmash of organizations, it's not what they want. The teacher unions, it's not what they want. Let's discuss the police unions. I'm ambivalent around that, seeing what's happening to police, what's not happening.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But there are lots of special interest groups that if we resolved all of our problems, they wouldn't have a mission. It's not about lifting up Black people. It's not about ending racism for them. It's not about social justice. It's about power. It's the data. You look at people who came from India, from other parts of Asia, Vietnam, the Philippines, various countries in Africa, and they're doing very, very well. Because I think these individuals who are doing very well economically, socially, they're in politics, they have made America their home, and they have wholeheartedly thrust themselves into the American dream and the American destiny. And they share that with everyone else. America is also an idea. It's not about your skin color. It's not about your religion, gender, whatever. I know people are trying to make it all about that, but it isn't. This idea of freedom, leave me alone to do what I want to do for me. As long as I abide by the law, that's America. And in that sense, America is far superior to many of the European countries and other Western countries in terms of assimilating minorities. And I think that we don't, what I'm really pushing back against, it's these people who are organizing themselves, like Black Lives Matter, who are saying, instead of an individual coming to America or an American-born individual lifting themselves, getting the opportunity to lift themselves out of a bad situation, let's just give everything to the government. The government will do it for us. And I think that idea is a very, very bad one. And it's almost always got a bad outcome. In America, absolutely, we have our problems. We have racism. But I've never come across a society so determined to erase racism as Americans are. Americans are trying to understand what is it that we are doing wrong? What is it that we can do right? How can we fix this? That is not the case in the rest of the world. So yes, America is the best place to be Black, to be female, to be gay, to be transgender, to be whoever you want to be. And saying that doesn't mean I am denying that we have problems. It is just that compared to any other place in the world, it's the best place to be. You want to argue with that? Travel. Go to those places and see for yourself. The other side, they just want to shove their beliefs, their orthodoxies down our throat because they're not interested in conversation. They vilify people like Jason Riley. They don't want the conversation, they want power. And people like me and Jason, we're in their way. People like you are in their way. Now, it's easy to accuse you plainly and only because of the color of your skin. You're a white man, you have white privilege, and therefore, shut up, get out of the way. Give us your wealth. I looked at some of that. I went on the Black Lives Matter website, and I looked at what some of their demands are. They're insane. They want to abolish the justice system. They want to abolish the immigration system. They want to defund the military. They've now, you have to ask yourself, what has this got to do with Black lives, and what has it got to do with George Floyd? And so what we are seeing, the result is not that all our kids have become crazy Marxists. That's not the case. What we're seeing is they've succeeded in brainwashing a subset of the student population that then go on to take jobs and leadership positions, but that the rest of us are rendered silent because we weren't paying attention.
Mark my words. Mark my words. There
Right.
will be no resolution of America's problems if free thought and free speech are no longer upheld as sacrosanct. Without them, honest deliberation, mutual learning, and the American ethic of problem solving are dead. Close quote.
It gives Democrats the opportunity to say, we need to throw out these crazy Marxists, these crazy mad socialists out of the party. The Ocasio-Cortezes, the Bernie Sanders people, Ilhan Omar, these crazy, nutty, radical people, we need to throw them out. We need to go back to the center. We need to also go back to the idea of having a conversation with the other people across the aisle. And somehow, and I don't know why that happened, when I lived in the Netherlands, that's exactly what happened with the center-left party. All the radical groups found their way into these parties, the center-left parties, and then got them unhinged. And the moderate, sane people would say, I'm just going to go do something else and leave the arena to them. And that's dangerous. You know, we're a democracy, we're a republic. You need two parties, and both parties have to be healthy and sane.
Quote,
Yeah.
Republicans too have to change their ways. They have to talk to young people, to the Hispanic population, to African Americans who most certainly do not want to see the police in their neighborhoods replaced by woke community organizers, close quote. So, Ayaan to Democrats, you need to lose again. Ayaan to Republicans, get with the program.
I think they are the silent majority. Again, this is my message to the Republican Party. Please, you know, shed this image of all white man thing and listen to and amplify the voices of African Americans, Hispanics, Indians, Chinese. It doesn't matter what their race is. Skin color is the most superficial thing, superficial part of humanity. Amplify the voices of those people who chose to come to America because of that balance of having freedom and order, and have found this way out of it. So I'm really, really optimistic. They are here. They are Americans. They are the ones who are terrified because we fled all these mobs and tyrants in our countries of origin. Think about the people who came from a woman from Afghanistan wrote to me saying, these people, she's in Los Angeles. She said, these people who are out here now trashing things and destroying, we should send them to Afghanistan so that they can learn a lesson. So those of us who fled these places and have become Americans, I think we can, if we're just given an opportunity to speak up and our voices are amplified. Now you go to the mainstream media, any one of us who has to say what Jason Riley says, we're not going to be published. So the only places you go to are the Wall Street Journal, Fox News, the Washington Examiner, so the conservative media. And if you go to the conservative media, you are then told, oh, you are right wing. But the mainstream media will not publish you, will not give you a voice. A very small group with very loud voices.